Gentile world, this important church in a seaport city that was established by the apostle himself. And now he's having to write them about a conflict that should have been resolved by now. He said, I need to forgive you. I need to forgive you. It's not that I'm saying you're not important. Fifth row, fifth seat, 100 green golf shirt. But all seats in this church are not created equal to me. I've learned through time that this seat, and they probably aren't showing it on the camera, the one where Holly's sitting right now, that's the most important seat in the church to me. To me. Now, early in my ministry, I thought that having all the seats full was the whole goal. But now where I'm at in my life right now, I think that if every seat in this church was full, but that my wife didn't respect my life enough to want to hear me preach what I had to say because of the way I live at home, that I would be a hypocrite. I think that if this seat, when Holly tells me, she told me last week, she said, that spoke to me. I said, well, good. Because I've kind of put some stuff in there for you. No, I didn't. But what I'm saying is, in the eyes of God, fifth seat, fifth row is just as important as this one, but not in my eyes. In the eyes of God, there's equal value to every human being. So if there's a millionaire on your row and then somebody who doesn't even know where their next meal is coming from, to God, the worth of his children is not based on something called net worth or occupation or any of these opportunistic ways that we see people. But to us, we have to realize that certain things we have to learn to prioritize what's really important in our lives, what opportunities we give our energy to. Some of us are praying for God to give us things that he simply cannot give us the way we're asking them to come. If we're asking God to give us peace in our lives, but we have no priorities, we will never receive the peace that God gave us through Jesus, who is our peace when he died on the cross. So that's the setup. And here's the sermon. Paul said, when I went to preach the gospel of Christ in Troas and found that the Lord had opened a door for me, I still had no peace of mind. This is Paul, the point guard of the New Testament church to the Gentiles, saying, I had an opportunity. Now, Paul has seen God open so many doors, and so have you. I said, so have you. How many of you, just wave at me, have seen God put you and situate you and position you in places that you could never earn or deserve and don't know how you got here? Yeah. How many of you were smart enough and competent enough and you did it all by yourself and you created your own oxygen that you breathed into the lungs that you formed with your hands in your mother's womb? Even your success was because of how God situated you. The reason Corinth was important was because of where it sat in relation to the Mediterranean Sea. Some of us get very prideful about things that we accomplished. But if God hadn't put Corinth by the sea, it wouldn't have been a port city. So even when God blesses me, I understand that if he did not give the wisdom, if he did not give the strength, if he did not give the opportunity, I don't care if you're a professional tennis player. If somebody didn't give you a racket, if somebody didn't give you a ball, you can have all the athletic ability in the world. But without the opportunity that God gives, all of your human ability means nothing. Even the ability itself comes from God. This is what Paul knows, and that's why he uses a phrase that we can use too sometimes. We can say, the Lord opened a door for me. The Lord opened a door for me. So don't be mad at me about the blessings that I'm walking in. The Lord opened those doors for me. I remember real early when I was preaching, I invited myself to preach at a church. I didn't like it. I didn't like how it felt because he said yes. And once I got there, I felt like it was up to me to perform. I was 17 years old. Spirit of the Lord spoke to me, said, don't ever invite yourself somewhere to preach again. You can put your messages out, you can put them online, you can use all the platform, blah, 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 and social media and all that. You can do everything you can do to get the gospel out, but don't ever situate yourself in a position through manipulation, because then you will carry the burden of performance. It's something awesome about knowing the Lord opened this door. It's just something freeing about knowing the Lord opened this door. It's something great about knowing that God brought me into this relationship. Because see, you can get into a relationship and really God not want you in it, and then you have to spend the rest of the relationship trying to get somebody to like a pretend version of you that you had to put on like a costume to get them to accept you. But if you had to compromise yourself to gain their acceptance, what did you really get? Something awesome about the Lord opening doors. There's something awesome about the Lord closing doors. I need both. Last week we talked about the red light and the green light. Praising God for one and not the other. Kind of foolish. You know, the green light is only as effective as the red light. Y'all want all green lights in the city of Charlotte where everybody's just smashing into each other all the time? So why do we want all green lights from God? Just to be crashing into stuff that we could have avoided if we would have heard his voice. Pray this, Lord, open the door. Now pray this, Lord, close the door. Because either way, I want your hand on the knob. Everybody over 25 ought to give God a shout of praise. You don't know to shout over that closed door till at least 25. What's interesting about this text to me is that we could argue the most important figure in the New Testament other than Jesus, who roughly over a third of the New Testament is devoted to either his letters or his life, Paul, formerly Saul of Tarsus, the one who got knocked off of his horse on his way to kill Christians. And God closed his eyes and blinded him, sent him to Ananias in Acts chapter 9 to receive his sight, and he spent the rest of his life taking the gospel to the known world. He started at least 14 churches, and he started out as a Christian killer. God used him to multiply in the earth the thing that he tried to uproot in one season. Only God could do that. Only God could take somebody trained under Gamaliel and get him to let go of all the traditions of men and call it rubbish. He said, the things that I once counted as gain, I now count as loss. God has completely reversed my understanding of my value system of what's important. And what was once gain to me, I now count as loss. And what was once loss, I now count as the ultimate gain. And all I want to do is know Christ. And all I want to do is make him known as I come to know him better. Now I know what's important. And of all the churches he establishes, and he started at least 14 that we know about. That doesn't count all the spin-off churches. That doesn't count all the churches that had baby churches of baby churches and the grandbaby churches that Paul started. Every gospel drop that entered the Gentile world, Paul had a part in it. Sometimes sowing in tears and pain, but that's Paul, who God opened a door for. And I want to say one more thing about that before I move on to the other that I'm going to say after I say this about that. The whole reason that Paul took the gospel to the Gentiles was because the Jewish people rejected him. You know, sometimes rejection is one of God's greatest doors. While Paul was preaching in Judea, they didn't want to give up the
Pod cut.